ahead.
So, since these two are across the transversal from each other, I took them equal to each other, and I added 8 to the other side and subtracted the x. I got 1x equals 28 divided by 1, and got x equals 28.
Thank you. Grace, tell us, do you agree or disagree? Yeah, very good. So you would set them equal to each other because they're across from each other on the transversal. If they were on the same side of the transversal, you would make them or add them up to equal 180. Who can tell me what type of relationship do they have? What was that name called? Yeah, alternate interior angles. They're alternate interior, so that means they are congruent. What questions do you have on the bell ringer?
Look at this guy on the corner. Is that one of the home?
Oh, yeah, they're from Discovery Plus. Okay, so what you're going to do today, first thing, I've given you the little card that gave you the results of your test. The first score that you see is your pre-assessment score, and this is Unit 8. We did not do one on Unit 7 because Unit 7 was very small. It was like the side, angle, side, angle, side, and hypotenuse leg, triangle congruence theorems. So you're not going to do those. So we are on Unit 8. So look at your pre-assessment score. It was either like a 0, a 33, or a 60, I believe, or 0, 30, 60, I can't remember the numbers. But you'll need to fill those in. If you got a 0 on the pre-assessment, it's red. 60 is orange. 80 and above is green. So that's the pre-assessment. Then I have your goal written down. Most people's is orange. I did have one person that made 100 on the pre-assessment, so their goal was 100. Really hard to get that on a test.
Oof, that's kind of.
And then I think someone in here got a 60 on the pre-assessment, so their goal was an 80, so that was a really high goal. And then you have your assessment grade, the post-assessment. Remember, if it's between 0 to 59, you use red, 60 to 79 is orange, 80 and above is green, and it even tells you that at the top. Then it tells you whether or not you met your goal. If you met your goal, you are not required to go to tutoring and retake the test. However, if you would like to, you have until this Friday. If you're going to retake the test, you need to come let me know, and I will put your test in the library, and that way you can do test corrections. You will need, on the ones you missed, you will need to write the questions out on a piece of paper and work it out on a piece of paper. And then you'll turn your test and the test corrections in to me. And then I will look over them, and if you got any wrong, I'll circle them, and I'll send them back, and then you'll need to make more corrections. So it would be in your best interest to make sure that the teacher or yourself checks to make sure they're all correct before you turn it in. The other thing you have to do, there's going to be a quiz activity. That's a review activity posted on Google Classroom. You have to get that completed. So you have to attend at least one tutoring session, do the quiz activity, and do test corrections. And you have until this Friday. You can come in before school, after school, or during advisory to do the test retake. And then those of you that did not meet your goal, it's the same thing, but you were just assigned a mandatory tutoring until you come in and take your test. And again, you also have until Friday. If you are required to do the retake and you do not come in by Friday afternoon after school to come in and retake the test, you will be assigned an after-school detention for not doing your test retake by the due date. So there's a quizzes activity you got to do on Google Classroom. It'll say review, retake. I've got to look at it and see exactly what it says, and I'll show you what that says on Google Classroom. Test corrections, and attend at least one tutoring session. Unless you were assigned tutoring, then you go every day until you get all that stuff completed. All right. What questions do you have for me on your data folder or on test retake? Yes, ma'am.
How do we look at our pre-assessment score?
It's on that paper.
Oh.
No, it has your pre-assessment, your goal, and what you made on the test. And then it has whether or not you met your goal. All right, once you're done filling out your data folder, you are welcome to or you can go ahead and put your data folder up and put up your colored pencils. Make sure you put them in the right bucket.
this to do? Yes. Okay, good. Things like that, I thought it was pretty hard.
Yeah, there's just so many different types of bisectors and so many different points of concurrency, and each one has a different different special characteristics, different characteristics. All right, section 9.1, inequalities in one triangle. It says students will be able to list sides and angles of a triangle in order by size, and students will be able to use the triangle inequality theorem to find possible lengths of triangles. Okay? So this is section 9.1. At the top of your notes, you're going to want to number the page. It'll be page 41 of your notes. And you'll hang on to it until we're finished tomorrow. And then I will be here today till like 6:30. So I'll be grading your binders this afternoon. That way you can have them tomorrow. Notice there's some fill in the blank. Fill in the blank, pay attention as we go. Also, if you have any questions during the lesson, write those down over on the side. That way when I walk around, I can read your questions and see if there's something I may need to explain better if everybody has the same question. Also, so that way, in case you have a question, you can write it down, and then whenever I stop and say, okay, what questions do you have, you'll have it written down so you don't forget it. Because a lot of times, whenever you have a question and it doesn't get answered right away, we'll forget that. But also, another reason to do that is because the question you have, I may answer it in like the next 5 seconds, which is usually tends to happen. But I will stop periodically to see if you have any. Now, usually after the first problem, people tend to have quite a few questions. That's why I like to do the first problem and then do the second problem, then do the questions. All right, so the triangle longer side theorem says, if one side of a triangle is longer than another side, then the angle opposite the longer side is larger than the angle opposite the shorter side. Okay. All right, so you're going to want to fill those in. And I even have them highlighted in red, the ones that you need to fill in. So if one side of a triangle is longer, then the angle opposite that side is bigger. So the bigger angle is opposite the bigger side. Okay, so the big angle goes with the big side. The little angle goes with the little side. All right, so looking here, you can see that AB is 8. The length of AB is 8 units, and the length of BC is 5 units. Okay. So using the triangle longer theorem, the angle that's opposite this side will be bigger than the angle that's opposite the 5. So the bigger side is AB. So the bigger angle would be angle C. That angle's bigger. So angle C would be bigger. So since AB is bigger, and my pen's not laying there right for some reason. Since AB is bigger, then that means angle C is bigger. Okay, and this side is 5, so it's smaller. So BC is smaller. So then that means that angle A is smaller than angle C. So the bigger angle will be opposite the bigger side. Alright, let's go back. The triangle larger angle theorem says, if one angle of a triangle is larger than another angle, then the side opposite the larger angle is longer than the side opposite the smaller angle. Okay, so you're going to want to fill those in under triangle larger angle theorem.
Is it okay if we didn't use that blank for the last one?
I think you're supposed to put the measure of angle C is greater than the measure of angle A.
I put that right here.
Oh, that's okay. All right, so Notice that angle A is bigger than angle C. It's 50 and C is 30. So since angle A is bigger, then the side opposite of it is bigger. So BC will be bigger. So since angle A is bigger, then that means the length of BC is bigger. So it's just the same as the other one, it's just backwards. Okay, so it says the measure of angle A is greater than the measure of angle C, so that means the length of BC will be greater than the length of AB. So bigger angle, bigger side. All right, let me show you an example. And then after I do the example, then I will see what questions you have. It says you are constructing a stage prop that, let me pull this down so I can read it, that shows a large triangular mountain. The bottom edge of the mountain is about 32 feet long, and the left slope is about 24 feet long, and the right slope is about 26 feet long. List the angles of triangle JKL in order from smallest to largest. So the first thing I would do is label all of my lengths here. So it says the bottom edge is 32 feet, so JL is 32 feet, so I would label that. Then it says the left slope is 24 feet. So right here, the length of JK, that's 24 feet. So I would label this one 24 feet. And the right one is about 26 feet. So I'm going to label this one on the right 26 feet long. Okay. Now it says to order the angles in order from smallest to largest. Be careful because sometimes they want you to do from largest to smallest. So they want the smallest angle. So to find the smallest angle, I have to find the smallest side first. So the smallest side will be 24 feet. So this side right here is the smallest. So that means the angle opposite that side will be the smallest. So since this one's the smallest, JK, that means angle L is the smallest. So the first one would be angle L. Now I find the next smallest. This one was 24. The next one would be 26. This side here, KL. So then find the angle that's opposite of KL, which is angle J. So angle J would be the next smallest. And then the largest angle will be opposite the largest side, which is 32 feet, which is JL. And the angle opposite of JL is angle K. So angle K would be the largest angle. And there you go. All right, what questions do you have so far? Okay. Is it very, very confusing or seem very, very simple? Okay. Try this one. List the sides of triangle DEF in order from shortest to longest. So we're going to look for the shortest side. So to do that, you got to find the smallest angle. Well, I only know what two of the angles are. D is 51, E is 47. So in order to do that, I've got to find what angle F is. Nick, how could I find the measure of angle F? What could I do? Well, what do we know about the three angles of a triangle? From a couple chapters ago. All right, someone want to help him out? Lakin? Yeah, all three angles add up to equal 180 degrees. So, Nick, now that we recall that, it's been a while back, but now that we recall that all three of these have to add up to 180, Nick, how would you go about figuring out angle F? What would you do?
I would add 51/47 and subtract that from 180.
Okay, so let's do 51 plus 47, good job. And what's 51 plus 47? 98, and then we subtract that from 180. What's 180 minus 98? 82. So the measure of angle F is 82 degrees. Okay. Now it says from the shortest to the longest. So to find the shortest side, first you got to find the shortest or the smallest angle. Brett, what would be the smallest angle?
47.
The 47, angle E. So this is the smallest angle. So the side opposite that would be the smallest. Abby, which side is opposite of angle E?
DF.
Yeah, side DF. So that means that DF is the shortest side. So let's do DF first. So segment DF is the shortest. All right, what would be the next smallest angle, Bailey?
51.
The 51. So that one would go next, and Natalie S. Which side is opposite angle D? Yeah, EF. So EF would be our next segment. And then Sydney, what's our largest angle?
Oh, F.
So F is the largest. All right, so Grace, what side is opposite angle F? DE. So DE would be the largest side, or the longest side. There you go. Okay. Now, some of these I have the numbers whited out, so make sure you fill those numbers in whenever it's pull up the screen. All right, now that we've done 2 problems, now what questions do you have for me?
Why was the last one angles and then this one was it was like DF?
The first one wanted us to list the angles in order, like it gave us the sides and it wanted us to do the angles. This one, it gave us the angles and we had to do the sides. They're just showing you that it works both ways. All right, let's try this one. It says list the angles of triangle PQR in order from smallest to largest. So we're still going smallest. Okay. Taylor, what's the first thing you notice? Or what's the first thing you would do?
The PR, wouldn't it?
Yeah, PR is the smallest. Okay, so what angle would be the smallest?
Q.
Yeah, angle Q. So angle Q would be the smallest. All right, Natalie, what would be the next biggest side?
QR.
Yeah, because it's 6.1. So this one here, I'll go to the color of this one. All right, so QR, and Natalie, what angle is opposite of QR?
Angle
Yeah, angle P. So angle P would go next. And then Maddie, what would be the longest side? And Maddie, what angle is opposite of PQ? Or what angle?
Angle.
R. Perfect, R. One thing I've noticed is that whenever you're talking about a segment and the angle that's opposite that, the name I use to name the segment PQ, I noticed the angle is the letter I did not use. Okay, so notice PQ, I didn't use the letter R, and R is the opposite of that. So that's one way how I remember which one's which. All right, next one. Well, before we move on, or before we move to the next name, what questions do you have for me?
How are they, like, it said level from smallest to largest. I don't get how R would be larger than P.
Because R,
R's on the side of the 6.1 and P's on
but it's the one it's opposite of. So angle R is opposite the side PQ. Try to think of it like if I have, okay, let's say I use my hands, my 2 fists. If I have them spread out this way, which one is going to have the farthest distance? The one where my angle is, say, 100, or the one where my angle is, say, 20?
100.
Yeah, the 100 where it's spread out. So it's the one that's opposite. So here's the angle, here's the side opposite. So it's like, here's my 2 arms, and here's my, the side that goes from that angle. So like, I kind of look at it like I'm standing here at P, and these are my arms, and this is the distance between my arms. So since this side is longer, that means my arms opened up wider, so this angle has to be wider, because this is where I'm standing.
Okay.
Alright, this one here you're going to do with your partner. First thing I need you to do is fill in the two numbers that I whited out for angle S and angle R. And then it says list the sides of triangle RST in order from shortest to longest. Okay. And then once you get those filled in, go ahead and turn your desk, face your partner, and work it out together. And Maddie, I'm going to have you work with Grace and Natalie since your partner's not here. Alright, if I could have your attention, please. Bailey, before we did anything, we have to figure out the measure of angle T. What did you and your partner get for the measure of angle T? 30. Is that what everyone else got? Yep. Okay. Now, the next thing you had to list the sides in order from shortest to longest. Taylor, what did you and your partner get for the shortest side? Okay. Are y'all okay with that? No. Why not? Okay, so 29 is smaller. So since 29 is smaller, the side opposite will be smaller. And the side opposite will be ST. So it should actually be ST first. Then would it be RS? Yeah, because it's opposite the 30. And then what would the longest side be? And that's because it's opposite angle S, which is the biggest angle. Okay. All right, what questions do you have for me? All right, we're going to skip that next problem. We'll come back to it later. Go ahead and get back with in your original seat, and let's move to chunk 2. Alright, for chunk 2, the triangle inequality theorem says the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. The sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. So if you ever add two sides together, it has to be larger than what the third side is. So if I had, let's say, 4, 8, and 5. Just a second, it's connected. Alright, so if my side lengths were 4, 8, and 5, if I were to add 4 plus 8, I get 12, which is bigger than 5. If I add 8 plus 5, that's 13, which is bigger than 4. And if I add 4 plus 5, that's 9, which is bigger than 8. If you ever add two sides together and it's not bigger than the third side, then that means it won't make a triangle because the three sides won't come together. Okay? So you have to make sure that two of the sides, when you add them, are bigger than the third side. Alright, and this right here, I've written down here, is what you need to fill in those blocks. The length of AB are on those lines underneath your triangle. The length of AB plus the length of BC has to be bigger than AC. It can't be equal to it. It has to be bigger than it. And then the length of AC plus BC has to be bigger than AB. And then the length of AB and AC have to be bigger than BC. So if you add the red and the green, it has to be bigger than the blue. If you add the blue and the green, it has to be bigger than the red. If you add the red and the blue, that has to be bigger than the green. So when you add two sides together, it has to be bigger than the third side. tomorrow to see if anyone got written down any questions. Alright, so let's do an example. It says a triangle has one. Is that the first one? No. Okay, I think so. There we go. A triangle has one side length of 14 and another side of length 9. Describe the possible lengths of the third side. Is that the first one you have? Okay. So you have to find a number that when you add it to 9, it has to be bigger than 14. And when you add it to 14, it has to be bigger than the 9. And then when you add 9 and 14 together, 9 and 14 has to be bigger than the third side. So there's a range of numbers it has to be. It has to be bigger than a certain number, but less than another number. And let me show you how to find those two numbers. So to find your two numbers, the first thing you're going to want to do is subtract these. So 14 minus 9. And this will give you the number it has to be bigger than. So if we do 14 minus 9, that's 5. So the side length has to be bigger than 5, because if you were to add 9 plus 5, you would get 14, and so it would be equal to the third side, not bigger than the third side. So your number has to be bigger than 5. And then to figure out this number it has to be smaller than, you add 14 plus 9. And 14 plus 9 is 23. So your side length has to be between 5 and 23, but it can't actually be 5 and 23. It can be 5.1, 5.2, 22.9, but it can't be 5 and 23. So here's how you write that in math to show that your side length has to be between 5 and 23. You write 5 is less than x is less than 23. That means x, which is the side length, has to be between 5 and 23. So those are the possible numbers it could be. It could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 22. Or it could even be the decimal lengths. Okay. So this would be our answer. It would need to be between 5 and 23 exclusively, which means 5 and 23 doesn't work. Okay. All right, let's try another one together. A triangle has one side length of 12 inches and another side length of 20 inches. Describe the possible lengths of the third side. Okay, so to find your minimum number, you're going to subtract them. So you're going to do 20 minus 12. Lathan, what do you get when you do 20 minus 12? So that's it has to be bigger than 8. And now to find the maximum number, you add them, 20 plus 12. Nick, what do you get when you do 20 plus 12?
32.
So it has to be less, it has to be between 8 and 32. Okay. So Natalie S., what would that look like as an inequality? Really close, but that next one is also less than. They're both going to say less than. I'm sure you wrote it that way. But they should both say 8 is less than x is less than 32. And x represents the side length. So your side length will have to be between 8 and 32. Okay. All right, now that we've done 2 of those, what questions do you have? All right, the next one's a little bit different. It says, decide whether it is possible to construct a triangle with the given side lengths. Explain your reasoning. So you have to figure out, is it possible to do a triangle that has a side length of 4, 9, and 10? So I know that when I add 2 sides, it has to be bigger than the third side. So how can I test this to make sure that this is okay? What can I do? Yeah, add each of them to each other and make sure it's bigger than the third one. So first you want to see if 4 plus 9 is bigger than 10. What's 4 plus 9? 13. So is 13 bigger than 10? Yeah, perfect. Now you want to add 9 plus 10 and see if that's bigger than 4. Is 9 plus 10 greater than 4? Yeah, 9 plus 10 is 19. So that works. And then the only other one I'd have to try, I've got to see if 4 plus 10 is bigger than 9. Is 4 plus 10 bigger than 9? Yeah, it's 14. So that one works. And then so I would say yes. And as long as you've shown your work, I will accept that as your explanation. Just make sure you show your work. Alright, is this one right here say guided practice? Okay, first thing you need to do is fill those in, 6 centimeters and 15, that should say centimeters, A triangle has one side length of 6 centimeters and another side length of 15 centimeters. Describe the possible lengths of the third side. Alright, so you're going to do this one together with your partner, so go ahead, turn your desk, face your partner. And work this one out together.
Not 15. Not 15. Not 6 either. You have to do the math. Like add them together and then subtract them together.
Alright, so for this one, you should have gotten 9 is less than x is less than 21. To get the smallest number, you subtract them. To get the biggest number, you add them. Alright, here's your next one. Decide whether it's possible to construct a triangle with a given side lengths. Explain your reasoning. And like I said, as long as you have your work shown, I'm going to take that as you explaining. The side lengths are 5 centimeters, 7 centimeters, and 12 centimeters. And if you do one and figure out that it doesn't work on the first one, you don't have to keep going. If you show that it doesn't work on one of them, you're done. And you'll say, no, it's not possible. There you go. It can be equal to it. It has to be bigger. Yeah, it has to be bigger than the number. It cannot be less than it, and it cannot be equal to it. Yes, that would count.
I just whenever you were doing like the bigger than I would get that.
Yeah. Alright, so on this one right here, the answer would be no. And that's because when you go to add 5 plus 7, it has to be bigger than 12. And 5 plus 7 is equal to 12. It's not bigger than 12. So the answer would be no. Because these two do not make a bigger number than the other one. Alright, what questions do you have for me? Okay. Let's try the next one. The next one's independent practice, correct? Yep. Okay, so let's move our desk back, and this one you're going to do on your own. Actually, you're going to do all 3 of these on your own. Do I have the thing slide it out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just put them up here. For the first one, angle N is 127 degrees. Angle P is 29 degrees. Number 1, the lengths are 5 inches and 12 inches. And number 1, on this one, it's 6, 7, and 11. So there's one type of each question. And then you're going to work these questions. After you finish all 3 and I check them, then you can put your stuff up.
What's that?
On the last one was
6, 7, and 11.
Wait, so if I do sides, so like this is the smallest one?
Mm-hmm. How did you get that measure right there?
This one?
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is what these
Oh,
two
wow.
add to. You got to do yourself. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I thought that was a 5. Okay, what's your smallest? And does that say from shortest? Yep. So what side is opposite of P? That's an angle. What side?
And then
So that would be the shortest side. And then now you find your next smallest angle. What did you get for, let me see, what did you get for that angle again? You got 34? And you got what for that one? Yeah, 24, okay, tell me. You forgot to add that one right there, that should be a 156, not 146. 2 plus 2 plus 1, so that's actually gonna change the order, so that's gonna be 24.
Oh, goodness.
So you're gonna, since now this one's smaller, you're gonna need to put the first two. You're good. On this one here, that's your shortest side, so now you gotta do the next shortest, so that was off of this angle. What's your next biggest angle? That's your 24. Okay, so what side is opposite of 29? Yep, this one here, so that one would go next. And then what's your biggest side? Okay, and then what side is opposite that? Well, it would be the whole side, so everything will end, so how would you name that side there? Yeah, it would be, yeah, Yep, you're good.
So you go ahead and grab our phones and stuff.
Yes, once you're done, you can get your stuff. Yep, you're good. Yep, you're good. You're good. This said list the sides, so you did the angles, so now list the sides in order.
Let's do it. Go ahead and go.
Yes. You need to put either yes or no on this one. You're good. You're good. Do the rest of your day. I will. Yep, you're good. That's 18, and that's bigger than 6, so that's the okay. Yep, that's good. You need to fix this one here. Make sure you fix that for everyone.